One of the biggest debates in Formula One in recent years is who is the greatest driver of all time, with names such as Lewis Hamilton, Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher all being contenders. But in today's video, I'll be answering the question, was Niki Lauda the greatest F1 driver of all time? When I think about the greatest F1 driver of all time, I focus on three things, and those three things are what they've achieved, the adversity that they've overcome, as well as the lasting legacy that they've left on Formula One. Over his career, Niki Lauda achieved an impressive 25 wins, 54 podiums, and raced for successful teams such as McLaren, Brabham and Ferrari. Niki Lauda's case for the greatest of all time status began in 1976, when he'd already won one world championship for Ferrari in 1975, when he took 5 wins. During the 1976 season, Niki Lauda had won 5 of the first 9 races and scored double the points that his nearest championship rival had. Heading into the round at the Nuremberg Ring, Niki Lauda was incredibly concerned about driver safety, so he urged the other drivers to vote to boycott the race. This is another characteristic that sets the greatest of all time back from other drivers, as they are true leaders who care about driver safety. However, the other drivers still wanted to race, and this would prove near fatal for Niki Lauda. On lap 2 of the race, Niki Lauda lost control of his car, which then caught fire, leaving him trapped, and as a result he suffered severe lung damage and burns. What was even more spectacular is Niki Lauda only missed 2 races, and he returned for the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. This is what else sets the greatest drivers of all time apart from any other driver, is that they never give up in the face of adversity. Not only did Niki Lauda return to racing so soon after his crash, he also nearly won the championship, only missing out by 1 point. This was largely because the final round of the championship took place at a rain-soaked Suzuka in Japan, and Niki Lauda didn't feel like it was safe to carry on. This is what separated him from most of the other drivers, as he was paving the way for future driver safety while he was still racing in Formula One. If you want to know more about the 1976 battle between Niki Lauda and James Hunt, then the story has been immortalised in a fantastic film called Rush, which I would really recommend. Let's take a look at Niki Lauda's most memorable races in Formula One. The 1974 Spanish Grand Prix was memorable for Niki Lauda as it was his first win for Ferrari. Niki Lauda had already proved his potential at the Prancing Horse, as in the opening round in Argentina he scored his first podium. To achieve the win in Spain, Niki Lauda had to master slippery conditions, and as a result he lapped everyone in the field apart from his teammate Clay Regazzoni, and he achieved Ferrari's first win in 2 seasons. The 1976 Italian Grand Prix at Monza was memorable for Niki Lauda because it was only 42 days after his near-fatal crash at the Nuremberg Ring. He qualified 5th fastest, faster than the other 2 Ferraris. He put in the drive of his life to finish 4th, despite dropping to 10th off the start as he was expecting the flag and they used red lights. After the race they had to tear his balaclava off as the blood and bandages from his burns had stuck to it. He later admitted that he was rigid with fear, but he wouldn't let it win. The 1985 Dutch Grand Prix was memorable for Niki Lauda, not only because he'd just announced his retirement yet again from the sport, but he had also retired from 8 of the first 10 races. So by the Dutch Grand Prix, Niki Lauda had to prove he was still good enough to beat his younger teammate Alain Prost. As a result, the Dutch Grand Prix turned into the finest battle between the two of them. Niki Lauda started in 10th and Alain Prost started in 3rd, but after one stopping they were battling for the lead. For the last 12 laps, Niki Lauda and Alain Prost swapped places for the lead, and then Niki Lauda then took the lead and defended it from Prost, and he won the race by only 0.23 seconds. It was quite a fitting way for such a legendary Formula One racer to take his 25th and final win. After Formula One, Niki Lauda was a keen businessman, owning his own airline. In 2012, it was announced that Niki Lauda would join the Mercedes board as the non-executive chairman. He played a key role in developing the car and bringing Mercedes back to the front of the grid in the turbo hybrid era. He also had such influence that he was able to prise Lewis Hamilton away from McLaren and Ron Dennis to join Mercedes, and Lewis Hamilton has been a key component to their success. And finally, to answer the question of whether Niki Lauda was the greatest F1 driver of all time is hard to say, as he achieved so much in the face of such adversity, but what is clear to see is he was the most successful and the greatest driver of his era. However, that was soon to be overtaken by other greats such as Michael Schumacher, Ayrton Senna and Lewis Hamilton, and as Michael Schumacher said himself, records are made to be broken. If you've liked today's video, then please like, share and subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss another video, and comment down below who you think is the greatest F1 driver of all time.